In today's Leeds news, Bornauw still has interest. Rumoured negotiations for Mandela Keita. Leeds open to Schmidt sale, and Leeds stand firm on Gudmundsson exit. Monday the 6th of July, Jer here with your news on the Leeds View. We're part of the Sports Social Podcasting Network. We do daily Leeds United news as well as 2 podcasts a week. Tonight we're going to have a bit of a change to our podcasting schedule. Over the weekend I got a chance to go to Oranmore, and a massive thank you to Mary Oranmore for allowing us to do this. We got a chance to sit down with Leeds lead coach in the academy, Andy Wood, as well as Liam Bennett and Oliver Norman, to have a bit of a chat about what goes into making a Leeds United pro and how much effort, what the detail is, blow by blow, of how they take academy prospects, work with grassroots clubs, and then produce professional footballers. These guys have worked with the likes of Callum Phillips, Archie Gray, and a lot more as well. So you can check that out later on tonight. It's a bit of a different one, and yeah, hope you enjoy that one. We also had transfer talk over the weekend. If you want to check that out as well and get the full detail on what has been said about transfer links to Leeds over the course of a week, far more of a back page rumour mill stuff than anything else. And a massive thank you to Jerry McDermott for also helping out with the Mario Ormore stuff and getting us that interview with Andy Wood. We really appreciate that. Thanks, Jerry. Right, let's crack on. Let's talk about Sebastiaan Bornauw. There's plenty of the current Leeds United squad who have had very limited minutes last season, struggled for game time, or were used fairly sparingly over the course of the season. And we've got Parag Marate's words still freshly ringing in our ears that those that struggled for minutes last year will probably likely struggle for minutes again this year, and maybe even more so depending on the players that come in over this summer. And one of those players is Sebastiaan Bornauw, and there were reports at the back end of the season that there was interest in Sebastiaan Bornauw, and that interest is said to have re-emerged again today. Back in January, though, there were a lot of talk or rumours at that moment in time about a potential exit for Bornauw. His agent was said to be trying to work on a loan move away from Leeds at that time, because Bornauw had hope of trying to force his way into the Belgian World Cup squad, and to do that, he'd need to be playing as much football as he possibly could. Now, that didn't happen, but he did get slightly more minutes after that in the Premier League, although they were still very limited. And now at the end of the season, there are more exit rumours. FC Koln in the Bundesliga were the side towards the back end of the season that were said to have some varying level of interest in a move for Sebastiaan Bornauw. And reports in Germany now claim again that Bornauw is one of FC Koln's main targets this summer. Now, Kicker and Bild in Germany are the ones that are reporting this story, and they say Koln's interest has re-emerged. Now, Bornauw is a former FC Koln player, so there is a very good connection between the two of them there. But FC Koln sporting director Thomas Kessler has also confirmed that the club do want to strengthen those central defensive positions, and he described Sebastiaan Bornauw as a candidate for one of those roles. He's not a guaranteed player they're going to go after, but he is one of the players that they've got on their list. They are also said to have other targets in that position. The Bornauw has a contract at Leeds United that runs up until 2029. Leeds only paid £5 million for Sebastiaan Bornauw, so they could make a small profit on him depending on the fee they would negotiate with Koln if they do decide to put in a formal bid. And it may also give some credence to some of the rumours out there that Leeds might be looking at bringing in a right-footed centre-back as well as a left-footed centre-half this summer. Now, he's going to want more game time next season. That probably goes without saying. He's been very steady for Leeds when he has been called upon. I thought against Spurs at the back end of the season, he was incredibly calm and very solid when he come in. He's a very good squad player for Leeds to have, but maybe Leeds think that they could upgrade that position, and instead of having a good squad player, can put somebody in there that would give Joe Rodon some real competition and battle for that right-sided centre-back position. So if you look at it on the face of things, he is probably one of the players Leeds could potentially look to flip this summer for potentially a little bit of profit. But we'll keep an eye on it. Noise is buzzing around. Again, I have to say, there's normal Bild and Kicker in Germany are not necessarily the outlets they once used to be when it comes to concrete, credible stories. But we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see where we go. Let's talk about Mandela Keita. On Wednesday night's podcast, Andrea Russo was with us, and Andrea said that Mandela Keita would be a very solid option for Leeds instead of Shea Charles. And less than a week later, here we are, Mandela Keita being linked with a move towards Leeds United. I'm not saying Andrea's had any part to play in this, because this report does come from Gazzetta dello Sport, and they're reporting today that Leeds United have begun negotiations with Parma over a move for Belgian midfielder Mandela Keita, and they've also mentioned Zion Suzuki in this story as well, but we'll just move past Zion Suzuki for now, because still haven't put a formal bid in for him just yet. But if you want to get the latest on him, check out Transfer Talk from yesterday. On Keita then, so he joined Parma back in 2024. His current deal at the club runs until 2029. He's valued between 19 and 25-ish million pounds. So he would offer a slightly discounted rate on what the fee around Shea Charles is right now, assuming you can get him for that fee. Now, he's described as a box-to-box midfielder. He is a very physical midfielder, and that should be pointed out. He made a significant impact in Serie A last season. Spurs, Aston Villa and Everton all have had a look at him in the past. He's got some Champions League experience. He's got European experience. He's got Serie A top flight experience. And Gazzetta dello Sport say that negotiations have begun between Leeds United and Parma over a deal. Now, they also say that Suzuki is part of this deal. And the reason that Leeds are said to be interested in him and Parma are said to be interested in selling him is that they've just made 2 loan players permanent, and they may need to sell players in order to balance the books. And Keita and Suzuki have both been named by Gazzetta as 2 sellable assets that Parma might look to move on to help do that. Now, the player's decision on this hasn't been made clear. There's no idea whether his preference is to come to Leeds or move to the Premier League. We don't know where we sit with that. We know with the Shea Charles situation, he is open to a move to Leeds. We don't know about Keita at this moment in time, but he would be looked at as an alternative to Shea Charles. Again, that physical midfield profile that Leeds seem to like in there, the box-to-box element as well, good engine on him, big lad. It would be an interesting one. Andrea Russo reckons, and he said last Wednesday, he was full of praise of the player, and he said he is a player that would be a very good signing for Leeds United and would be a good option instead of Shea Charles. And he also said, don't get bogged down in the stats on the player. Go and watch him with your own eyes. Andrea doesn't live far from Parma. He'd be very aware of what the local media say about Mandela Keita, and he would have seen him an awful lot in Serie A last season. So yeah, there you go. Less than a week after Andrea Russo said Leeds should go make a move for Mandela Keita, he's been linked with a move. It is only a link, and I would say again, it is an Italian outlet that are breaking this story. That should carry the right amount of skepticism, at least right now, until it turns into something more concrete. But that's the update on that one. Let's talk about 2 potential exits, and we'll start off with Isaac Schmidt. So Isaac Schmidt's time at Leeds United looks like it could be coming to an end, which isn't like a massive surprise to most people. His loan at Werder Bremen last season wasn't exactly what you would describe as spectacular. Mostly substitute appearances with the odd start, very similar to what he had to put up with during his time at Leeds United. And Werder Bremen did have an option to purchase him, but they decided not to take up that option and instead have allowed him to return to Leeds United, where he's expected back in pre-season training next week or so with the rest of the Leeds United first team. But Transfer Feed are reporting that FC Basel and Young Boys are both said to have interest in bringing Isaac Schmidt in on a permanent deal this summer. And Leeds are said to value him at in and around £2 to £2.5 million, pretty much what Leeds spent on him when they brought him in initially. Graham Smith in the Yorkshire Evening Post has also confirmed that Schmidt has got interest, and given Leeds' competition in the fullback positions, he is likely a player that Leeds will look to move on this summer. He never really looked like a player that would let you down when he played for Leeds in the Championship. He was always pretty steady. He played mostly on the left-hand side though, can't play on the right. But yeah, he does look like a player that Leeds will likely move on. He wasn't part of the plans last season. We saw him in pre-season. Leeds probably need better in that position. And again, as I say, didn't play a huge amount of football for Werder Bremen, so you can read enough into that. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see where he goes. But there is interest in him in a permanent exit. Another player's permanent exit potential. Let's talk about Gabriel Gudmundsson. Gabby is continuously being linked now at this stage with a move to Chelsea after what is fair to say a very impressive first season in the Premier League for Leeds. Some reports on the Chelsea side of this suggest that Chelsea could get Gabriel Gudmundsson from Leeds for as little as £10 million, which seems to me incredibly unrealistic and way off based and not based on any kind of reality. Reports today, though, on this suggest that Leeds United have no intention of selling Gabriel Gudmundsson this summer, and they intend to hold on to the key players as part of Daniel Farke's starting 11 for next year, or this year. Gabby was asked about this, though, during the World Cup, and he didn't exactly distance himself from her or shoot the rumour down. All he said when he was asked about it was, it's probably just a sign that I had a very good season. As I say, not dismissing it, but in the same context, probably looking to focus on football for Sweden at that moment in time and trying to just get out of an interview and brush it off and move away. It's a compliment. We move on. Now, Leeds are increasingly tight on that left-hand side. Leeds definitely need cover for Gabriel Gudmundsson and competition on that left side with a natural left footer there. So James Justin can offer that cover and competition on the right-sided centre-back position and the right full position. And Gabby can also do a job at left centre-back where he has played for Sweden in this World Cup. For me, I just can't see Leeds being willing to sell one of their standout signings from last season. He's been very good, and it's good to see that the Leeds won't welcome any kind of an offer and are likely to dismiss any interest in Gabriel Gudmundsson this summer. He is worth well over the £10 million that Leeds paid Lille for him last summer, and if Marc Cucurella is worth 40 million, then for me, Gabriel Gudmundsson is very much up there along with them. Gabby has been, for me, one of the best players we had in that squad last year. He was the Leeds Supporters Trust Player of the Year. I voted for him as Player of the Year in that as well. But obviously, we gave Ethan Ampadu the Channel Player of the Year last year for his fantastic season. But Gabby's massively important on that left-hand side for Leeds. And you notice him more when he's not there than maybe you do when he is there. And I keep saying he might not get a huge amount of assists and goals, but he is very important to the creation of goals for Leeds. He's always the pass before the pass, so you don't always get to see the benefit that he has from that perspective. And again, it's judging a player on stats versus judging him with your eyes. And he's been hugely important for Leeds. For me, he's been a brilliant signing. That left-back position for Leeds has been problematic over the last couple of years, and for me, they need to make sure that he goes nowhere this summer, and it's great to hear the club are potentially slapping that one down. So good news there. We'll see what happens with it. Unless a ridiculous bid comes in, you can't see that being allowed to happen. And that'll be it for me this morning, folks. Check out the Andy Wood interview tonight over on the podcast, which will be up about 6:30, 7 o'clock ish once I get the final edits and bits done on it. It was recorded in a very echoey room, so just excuse the sound a little bit on that, and I hope you enjoyed that, and we'll get it out on the audio as well. Have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. See ya. Bye.